what's up, planters? Today, let's talk about lithops. By the way, what is lithops? Well, lithops are small and interesting plants from southern Africa that are relatively easy to grow indoors. So listen carefully so that you will not regret in the end.
The first lithops was discovered by William John Burchell in 1811 during a botanical expedition in southern Africa. During his travels in northern Cape province, he found a strange-looking brown stone with a fissure across the surface near the town of Fresca. On closer inspection, this strange-looking stone turned out to be a succulent plant. The plant family name Mesembryantimaceae timaceae or Izoaceae. Lithops, so from the word lithops means stone, and opsius means like. Lithops have evolved to blend in so well with their surroundings, looking just like the sands and stones. They live among in shapes, sizes, and colors. They can be quite difficult to spot. We know that every flower needs light, and these lithops needs full sun to partial shade, and they are gonna prefer a gritty or a rocky soil that are extremely well draining sandy soil. And they can also attract mealybugs, scale insects, aphids, snails, slugs, and root knot, and mice and other small animals may eat it for its water content. These are the plants that are great collectibles but need a careful hand with water.
And
They are drought-tolerant plants, so only water them once a month during summer, which is when they are actively growing, and should be left dry during winter and spring. But a little sprinkle won't hurt when you see some wrinkling. There are numerous colorful names for plants in the lithops genus, and this living stone are all descriptive monikers for a plant that has a unique form and growth habit. We know that lithops are small plants and rarely getting more than an inch or 2.5 centimeter above the soil surface, and usually with only two leaves. The thick faded leaves resemble that clipped in an animal's foot, or just a pair of green to grayish brown stones clustered together. And these plants have no true stem, and much of the plant is underground. Once again, lithops is a genus of succulent plants in the ice plant, the family name of Izoaceae. The name is derived from the ancient Greek words lithos, meaning stone, and ops, meaning face, referring to the stone-like appearance of the plants.
And here's the questions and answers may people ask about lithops.
How can you water your lithops? Be aware that for some lithops, watering may only be necessary 3 or 4 times a year. For others, you can water them every couple of weeks during their growing season, like spring or autumn. Or this plant is rare. We know that lithops are extremely difficult to propagate because they are so slow growing. They are most often grown from seed instead of offsets. Unfortunately, lithops seed can take up to a year to germinate and requires carefully controlled conditions. This makes them somewhat rare and difficult to find in nurseries. Yes, we can propagate lithops from seed. Simply prepare a pot of soil and carefully sprinkle to your lithop seed over the surface and cover with a fine layer of sand. But your lithops leaf pairs will require some of the taproot to survive. Lithops are a very fascinating in addition to a rock garden or indoor succulent garden. They can be tricky for a new succulent grower since they are sensitive to their environment. Yes, we can plant lithops indoors in a sunny area of your home, such as in a windowsill, but do not expect a quick growth. Lithops taking a long time to grow, maybe about 2 to 12 weeks. Yes, we should expect that the seed to germinate within about 2 to 12 weeks, and the first thing we should do is to remove the plastic wrap or glass pane once the seed is germinated, and then transplant the seedlings to individual pots when the plants start to crowd each other and are big enough to handle, which is usually in a year. After repotting, if they're plump when you repot them, it should be weeks before they need water. By keeping them alive and healthy, lithops are sun lovers but can be burned by too much direct sunlight. And you can use the best freely draining succulent soil mix. And remember, good air circulation will help to keep your lithops healthy. And do not ever allow the plant to be surrounded with soaking wet soil, which will lead to root and certain death. Lithops care is easy as long as you remember what type of climate the plant originates from and mimic those growing conditions. Be very careful when growing living stones, not to overwater. These little succulents do not need to be watered in their dormant season, which is fall to spring.
And thank you so much for listening and watching. And now I will tell you the correct way on how to water them with these 4 seasons.
During summer, do not water them. They are dormant during the summer, and any watering could kill them. They expect this season to be bone dry with no humidity or rain. Watering will cause them to become mushy and rot. So make an exemption only if they become very wrinkled, then you can water a very small amount of water and they will plump up again within a week.
And in the early autumn, lithops resume growth. The first sign is often a bud that forced its way out from between the leaves. This shoot becomes a flower, and you can often see the beginnings of the new leaves around this time. So jumpstart the growing process by giving it a full watering at the beginning of this season, entirely drenching the plant and continue watering as necessary. But remember to never water a succulent if the soil is still damp from the last time. In winter, just leave your lithops entirely untouched during this season. Additionally, make sure they are not exposed to temperature below 55 Fahrenheit. They are made of mostly water and don't do well in cold temperature. Do not water during this season. Again, this season is winter. The new pair of the leaves are drawing water from the old ones, so they will appear to shrivel over time, and the new pair will steadily grow. So if you water, the old leaves will try to drink it, which ultimately confuses the plant's growth, and it will cause both set of the leaves to die. And when the season is spring, once the old leaves have shriveled up into paper like husk, you may finally remove them and resume watering. So water lightly to encourage the new bud to begin growth. Then gradually increase it to full waterings as necessary. And if you follow these all guidelines on watering, promise your lithops should live a full life to 40 to 50 years. Be aware that for some lithops, watering may only be necessary 3 or 4 times a year. Thank you!
And this is it, planters. Thank you for giving me a thumbs up and thank you for subscribing me. And now, here's the different kinds of lithops with their beautiful names.
By the way, I don't have lithops. Yes, I didn't own a lithops. And all I want to say is, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for the sponsor of this picture. And this is all about according to my research and according to my studies. And correct me if I'm wrong because this is all about what I have learned. Thank you so much for watching. I hope yes to love, not to hate.